Lamnunay Banwa. Good day, everyone. Welcome to our podcast. We are Group 5 from Section Realino. But before we start, we would like to introduce ourselves. I am AJ B. Alang.
And I am Paul Anthony A. Miranda.
I'm Kirill Kabate.
I am Luis Angelo A. Lauria.
I'm Zuleika Ayakapalo.
So today, we will be discussing SDG 13 climate action, where we'll be focusing more in depth about flooding. But we'll get to that later. For now, let me ask you guys this one question. What do you guys think about how the Philippines respond to certain calamities? Can we hear from you, Kirill?
Sure, I think that the Philippines' response to calamities such as flooding is often slow. Many Filipino people starve, die, and are displaced due to how the Filipinos move and how they have the mindset of let's wait for the government to handle this. When in fact, we should act fast and take the initiative when we are notified about such calamities and not solely rely on our government.
Hmm, interesting. How about you, Paul? What do you think about how the Philippines respond to calamities such as flooding?
So, going back to what Kirill mentioned about the Philippine government and how people rely on them too much. Um, so, the government, while they are reliable, nowadays they are inadequate and their responses to these floods are very slow, and I feel like they could do better with the amount of resources that they get from businesses, from the tax that we pay, I or our parents, and to I know correct myself, and with that kind of money it could really help lives, but it seems like they're wasting it on I won't say useless things, but some things that are of less priority, like the phones that were given out recently, but that were funded by the government and a few days ago, I believe. While it's good that these people who can't afford phones have phones, since it is important so they can, for emergency purposes, and they can keep contact with their families, it distracts them from the real problems, which is flooding, which is especially common here in the Philippines, specifically Manila.
Thank you for your answer, Paul. I agree with you that the Philippine government should definitely allocate more resources and more men when it comes to dealing with calamities such as floods. How about you, Luis?
Uh, I think that the Philippines has gotten better at responding to calamities like flooding, but there's still a lot of room for improvement. The good thing is that the government now has better systems in place, like early warnings and evacuation plans, which help save many lives. Plus, there are a lot of volunteers and organizations that step in quickly to provide food, water, and other aid. But the problem is the response can still be slow and disorganized, especially in heavily affected areas.
Ah, I see. It's kind of like opposing to Paul's uh, point of view, pero I think your perception of this is really interesting as well. How about you, Zuleika?
For me, I think the Philippines is slow in responding to floods, especially with issues like President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. removing at least 16.7 billion flood control projects. This delay in funding and action makes it harder to improve flood prevention and response efforts. Without proper infrastructure and planning, the country will continue to face severe flooding. It's crucial for the government to prioritize these projects to protect communities and reduce damage caused by the floods.
Thank you for your wonderful response, Zuleika. And this will conclude for the introduction of this podcast. So next we'll be moving on to the second part of this podcast. And for this part, we'll be diving deeper into this topic of mainly flooding, in order to fully understand. So, in order to really understand the topic, right, we need to ask questions. So, my question for you, for any of you to answer, what causes floods? Can you hear from me, Paul?
Oh, okay. So, for me, the main causes of floods, there are two of them. To categorize them, they are both natural and anthropogenic, meaning human activities. So, to start, let's talk about the first cause, which are natural causes. These are causes that have no involvement from humans and just happen naturally as a part of nature. And an example of this would be heavy rainfalls and river overflow due to ice cap melting. So, for our second one, the anthropogenic or human induced causes, there are many, such as improper waste disposal, um, climate change that is caused by our irresponsible use of resources, and more like simply using our cars, which emit gases in the air, like which goes back to my previous point of ice caps melting. Due to the greenhouse gases, it heats up the earth and it will cause ice caps to melt, raising um, sea levels and causing floods in smaller areas.
Wait, Paul. From what I noticed, there are more human-induced causes than natural ones. Why do you think that is? Are you implying that humans are the leading cause of flooding? Or do you think that humans are only contributing to floods?
I would say that both these natural causes and human induced causes are somewhat connected, because if there's only one of them, then it can't really do much, like heavy rainfalls. If it weren't for poor drainage systems from the lack of maintenance from us humans, then floods wouldn't be a problem at all, or the risk of flooding would be minimal. So, with that said, yes, they are connected, because if you get rid of one of them, then the likelihood of floods will be reduced and may not even happen.
Ah, interesting take on that one. So, what I got from all of that was we humans are a big part of this planet, and what we do now shapes the future of this planet. Because as more factories and infrastructure are being built, more life on this planet dies. So, we have a duty to protect this planet. By protecting it, we also protect its inhabitants, which is us humans. It's as if the natural disasters is, in a way, a defense mechanism from our planet. In the same way that we get sick, the planet also gets sick. So the way that it fights back is to send these calamities.
I completely agree. Well, I also think that climate change is a serious problem that is rapidly getting more and more out of hand because as the human population continually rises, the higher the need for more resources, and waste is getting those resources are doing more harm to our environment and the planet. If we continue practicing unsustainable ways of getting resources, our planet will suffer, so we must act now.
Yes, I agree. I think that the statement highlights the importance of protecting our environment and our earth, because in way we are protecting not only our home but ourselves and the future generations to come.
Thank you for your wonderful insights on this issue, guys. I really do believe that this planet is our home, and we should protect it in many ways than one. And being our planet, we must uh, try our best to really understand and really delve deep into what causes these natural disasters. So, if you guys have any questions, feel free to ask.
Oh, wait. Before we move on, I would like to ask a question.
Go ahead, Luis.
Okay, so my question is, who are the people who are most impacted by the flooding?
Hmm. That is a great question, Luis. Uh, the people who are most impacted by flooding is the people who are living in low-lying areas. So, for example, areas that are below sea level or um, near sea level, and areas near rivers or coastlines. Examples of these areas are areas in Davao, ano, are Estoril, and areas around Davao River. And flooding especially impacts those with limited resources and low mobility because flooding becomes a great challenge to many because many lose their homes and their belongings to the floods. And flooding is a great challenge to those who are living in poverty because they're already struggling and being displaced by these floods is a really great challenge to many people. And I believe that the government should really allocate more resources in responding to these issues because it
Uh,
causes great panic when natural disasters happen, and it forces people to live in these shelters that are not really comfortable to live in, and they have to worry and constantly stress about um, their homes being desecrated by these floods. Anyways, I hope that answers your question.
okay, thank you, AJ.
All right. For our final section, um, we will be discussing how ADU senior high school students, how as we students, how can we contribute to reduce the impacts of climate change? Diba? So let me ask you guys this: as an ADU senior high school student, how can we help reduce the impacts of climate change, even in small, minuscule ways?
Hmm, as an adult tech student, we can reduce the impact of climate change by practicing energy conservation, such as turning off lights and unplugging unused devices, reducing waste through recycling and using reusable items like bottles and bags can also help lessen environmental harm. Additionally, choosing sustainable transportation methods like carpooling or biking can further reduce our carbon footprint.
I agree with your answer, Z. We can help reduce the impacts of climate change by making small but meaningful changes in our daily lives. Simple habits like saving electricity by turning off unused lights and appliances, reducing plastic waste by using reusable bottles and bags, and properly segregating trash can make a difference. We can also get involved in school environmental projects like tree planting or cleanup drives to promote sustainability. Lastly, spreading awareness, whether through social media or class discussions, we can inspire more people to take action. Even small steps, when done together, can have a big impact on our planet.
I agree because just as you said, all we simply have to do is change our habits, but it seems like it's something difficult that not everyone can do, especially the younger generations like us students because we seem to have this mindset of since we are just one person, we can't make a difference, and ultimately leads to laziness and a lack of motivation to change. But have we ever really thought of it this way? Imagine if everyone has this kind of mindset. And sure, while one person may not make a big difference, many will, because the more there are, the more of an impact they will give. So, with that said, it's time to change our mindsets and start doing small things like what Louis said, spread awareness so we can encourage others to do the same and throw our trash in the proper bins, maybe even participate in cleanup drives.
Thank you, Paul. And to expand on your idea, it's really important for even like a single person to have a sustainable mindset because if we as ADU senior high school students have a sustainable mindset, we can motivate others and we can help others realize the error in their ways, and we can help them to adapt more sustainable practices. And as people of this planet, as ADU senior high school students, we should really constantly um, advocate sustainable practices and sustainable development. And by doing simple things, by changing our simple habits of improperly throwing the trash, we can actually make a significant difference, if even if you see it may seem insignificant, but having these practices can um, really practice or like create new habits that will create a butterfly effect, if that makes sense. A ripple effect of sustainability, and it may pave a path for a brighter future.
Yes, I agree, and I believe that as students, we should come as one and work together and become responsible citizens of this planet. And as responsible citizens of this planet, we have an obligation to protect it. We owe it to our planet that we take care of it because this is our home, right? This is the place where we grew up on, the soil we step on, and this is where we live.
Thank you guys for the answers that you, the responses and the answers that you've given. So this will be the conclusion of our podcast. Thank you for listening. And again, we are Group 5 from Section Realino. That's it.